This is an excellent summation of what's going to happen or happening now, being put into place in the digital leash that will be owning every movement, everything you, every song you take. I'll be watching you. All these songs talking about it, it's actually happening now. Here, give a listen. The digital leash, folks. Here it is. Listen up. This is a good, concise consensus.
Cool, isn't it?
Absolutely, and anonymity isn't even the worst of our problems. The worst of our problems is the fact that it's going to be programmable. Because it is digital, it means the money can be programmed to be spent in any way in which the central bank or the government decides. So one of my particular concerns is the World Economic Forum, because they're talking about implementing a carbon allowance. Now this means each individual will be given a certain amount of, whether it's credit or whatever it is, carbon that they are allowed to emit. And how do they implement that? Through a central bank digital currency. So if I buy too many plane tickets, or if I buy too much meat, because those things are all supposedly very bad for the environment, my money when I go to fill up my car could then be declined. So now they're literally controlling what we can and can't do with our money. It's also important to realize that the money can expire. So during times of economic uncertainty, central banks love to print lots and lots of money, which causes inflation. But we could get to a point where they say, instead of printing money, you have to spend at least 10% of your savings in the next 3 months. If you don't spend that money in the next 3 months, then that money is going to expire. And if you can't...
All right, so that's critical to understand the money expiration, given that we're $33 trillion in debt. $33 trillion. I freaked out in 2007 at $1 trillion. And I keep saying this over and over, but they haven't even foreclosed on home yet. People can't evict people out of their properties, the renters, homeowners. You've got Capstone and Vanguard buying up all the real estate. That's what's keeping real estate up. All right, so let's play some more here.
Save money, well then you can't build long-lasting generational wealth. You're always going to be a slave to the system. And I don't think people really understand the severity of this. Money is literally the energy which fuels your life. If you don't have freedom of money, you don't have freedom of anything. Dan, I know you talk about the Second Amendment. They don't need to necessarily get rid of the Second Amendment, but they can just say they can...
This is the ultimate surveillance tool, isn't it?
So yeah, because it's tied to money and making money and buying things, because we don't grow things, we don't own the lands, we don't own the knowledge, we don't save seeds, we don't know the essentials that are 2 generations before. Now remember the internet, the solution number 1 is get off electronics, including this device I'm on now. It's a vice, and I will be unplugging, and grow your own food is also essential. I mean, this is for a reason they put the push-button world in there. The youth these days, we've lost the youth. I mean, no one wants to talk like this, but being a parent and seeing them computerized, trying to get them moving to the country to get away from computers, and I couldn't stop it. It's all powerful, and now they just think it's normal. And they've got the children on their tablets and their Chromes and their devices, and their games like Fortnite and Call of Duty that they're addicted to. And all the gender bending, children are lost, and the parents aren't screaming, and they're not up in arms and building their own communities of love and trust. Why aren't we building communities now? Why isn't everybody starting community farms? We're not seeing that. Because everybody's stunned and numb, but you don't have to be. Central bank digital currency is going to be in the blockchain. We're $33 trillion in debt in the United States, Inc. $33 trillion. That's not forgivable. That's over $260,000 per man, woman, and every baby born. Now they're going to be born in tubes. Folks, this is where it's going. Find your tribe. Get to the country. Get there. Support a farmer. Save seeds. Invest in things that matter and last. Food, water, and energy. Get magnetized collars for your sleeves for your water. But please, get your gardens in order. Get your food supplies in order. That's critical. And work trades. Farmers need help all the time. Go do trades with them if you don't have the money. Just make it work for you and build your community where you're at, wherever you're at. Because the growing season is going to be very difficult. We had a horrible growing season this year. The wine country up here had a horrible, horrible wine season. So get your wines if that's what you're into. But it takes 60 gallons of water to grow 1 gallon of grape wine. So, Anyway, so the central bank digital currency will be in the blockchain. There'll be no more governments. It's under a world system. 2000. By 2023, after the announcement of World War III, which was 9/11, the attack between Yakum and Bose, taking down the twin World Trade Centers. The world was put on order that the New World Order was taking shape in the World War III that Albert Pike predicted back in 1878 about the 3 world wars, and he predicted exactly World War I and exactly World War II. In his mausoleum, he's buried. He's the only person buried in Washington, D.C., across from the White House. Look it up. Scottish Rite Museum, Mausoleum, Andrew Pike, founder of the Ku Klux Klan of Arkansas. So anyway, so his prophecy, World War III, complete annihilation. So this is the one world bank currency, the AI digital life. It was supposed to be a war of the Islam, religious war of Islam versus the Christians to bring the satanic one religion in. That's what the Georgia Guidestones were about. They took down the Georgia Guidestones because they were done with them, and they had their calling card. They gave them their calling card. You know who I am. Boom. We're going to execute our plan now to reduce the population by 97%. Put it in stone. 8 different languages, so you'd really understand what they're saying. Put a capstone on top that weighed about 4 tons. I went there. I saw it back in 2007. Saw for myself. Great intention. A lot of technicalities. Right at the center point of Emberton County has the strongest granite on Earth. And it's right on a ley line along with Teotihuacan and Stonehenge and Egypt and, all the ley lines, the sacred ley lines of the flat Earth. And so all of these things are being used against us right now on the dark side. But on the light side, it's about our free will, our will to come together, our will to overcome our differences, our will to take care of each other, and to protect the children now and sacrifice to the children again like we used to do. And that means a healthy food and getting them out of the school system and, raising them with truth. Start with, being honest with them. We're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of hurt. And I'm here to protect you and help you make it through. Children have no future because the parents are left. We're the baby doomers in my generation. We doom the next generation because it's all about greed. I want it all now. Remember Time Magazine had a mirror on it. It's all about you. Borrow till your head cave in, we used to say. It's all about just fake money. Borrow today, pay tomorrow. And now we've just destroyed our entire system in this massive, massive debt that has not collapsed yet. And the federal government supplies 40 to 70% of all money for all communities, municipalities, cities, states. So when the federal bank collapses and you see they'll start taking it out of your account, it's called rehypothecation. And you wake up in the morning, there'll be a 30% haircut in your bank account. That's if you're not doing, that's of their control. And they're doing it already in Cyprus when people woke up one day and they had their bank accounts closed. They didn't get them open. They took a huge haircut. It's called rehypothecation. And the reason being is the banks, why do the banks ask you to apply when you're giving them money? Why don't they apply for your money? Why don't they give you an application for your money? Because you're signing into a corporation, and under corporate law, the primary focus, the primary reason, the reason d'etre, the reason you're in a capitalist system to follow the law is to enhance shareholder value, bottom line, end of story. It has nothing to do with selling drugs or helping people or not polluting water, anything. It's what you can get away with. And on Wall Street, it's don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. Catch me, screw me. And that's always been the way in Wall Street. When I started in Wall Street in the 85 on the floor of the stock exchange in New York, I went in there the first day, the head trader brought me up. Said, kid, I'm going to teach you what you need to know. I'm going to keep it short. Takes a big swig of his drink. You're going to be on the table. You're going to be at the table. If you're not, you're going to be on the table. Takes a swig again. He says, you better pray or you're going to better pray. And then he took his drink and walked away. And they don't care as long as they can get away with it. And that's just business. And that was back in the 80s. And now it's ruthless. There's no consciousness, and there's amoral. It's what you can get away with. And now we're seeing the perversions of the sacredness of so many things. And again, the families, the parents are not screaming because they're all divided now. Because now we got issues between our families now, between who is and who isn't, who will, who won't. Can't talk about this, can't talk about that. Put your happy face on. So finding your tribe is critical. There are people like Universal Flat Earth Universe, Martin Kenny, who I have the great and utmost respect for, who started a gathering, a group, writing their own laws, making their own clothes, having their own creeds, living their own life, growing their own food. He's in Portugal. Martin Kenny, you can look him up. And there are people that are doing it, but it's not going to be advertised. But please do get your sources in order. Think about with no money, what you're going to do is you're going to need each other. So in some ways, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. We'll see so many beautiful things are going to come out of this as well. So out of that beauty comes love, because with suffering is going to take over our hearts, and we're going to do whatever we can to end suffering, not for now, but for the long term. And that's what the Tartarians and the Moors have taught us, is they had love, they had beauty, they had the feminine divine, they had the grace, they had the reverence, they had the respect for nature, Mother Nature, which we don't hear about in this he world, she, he, woe man, female, person, human, manuel, menstrual. Where's the feminine divine? Female, woe man. You have to say girl or lady, and that just means servants, if you look up the words there. So it's a total debasing of the feminine divine and the creation principle. Now they're Xing out the little X gene in the vaccines, as we know, and they're also Xing out what it means to be feminine divine. Total control of the male dominant species. That's the end of it. So we need to get back to nurture nature. Nature matters. She doesn't like what we're doing to her with all the plastic and pollution all over the world. Where'd it go? Away. Oh, okay, bye. We have an away, throwaway society that doesn't have consciousness to what they do. And that's going to come back big time. So get back to love, get back to farming, essentials, healthy food, saving seeds, critical now. Do it for the long term. Do it for our children. Do it for your children's children. We're going to be around a while, folks. We're going to come back and clean up this mess, and we're going to be stronger. But now's the good fight. This is the biggest battle in thousands of years. Think about this as I close for 1 second. 2000 was perfect vision. Before that, it was one-eyed man was king, and that's why you saw the playing cards with one eye and the dollar bill with one eye on it. The one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind, which is us. We can't see shit. We're the dark side. We're only 500 years out of the dark ages. So the one-eyed man is king, the subjective eye, the objective eye. You close the subjective eye, you cover it, and all you're looking at life is subjectively. Do what thou willst. And so that's what they're doing now in 2020 with perfect vision. Perfect vision is they can see, and we're blind, blinded by the light. Cue the blinded by the light. Anyway, so that's what they're saying they're doing. They're activating their 20 agendas. As they said in 1996, they had the Rio conference that set the Agenda 21. Well, spot on. Then they had the Agenda 2030, then Agenda 2040. It's just now they're executing. It's .exe. And that started in 2020. And remember, watch the movie Songbird coming up, 2023 COVID, which takes full effect in 2024, in our headlights. Remember all the ships sitting off the coast last year, just sitting there idle, doing nothing. Supply lines, supply lines, stockhouse supply lines. Then we had that tanker, the Evergreen Air, the chemtrail guys. Evergreen tanker sideways on the Panama Canal. Then we had the trucker strike, supply lines. Then we had the meat packers, supply lines. Then we had all the cows, supply lines. And, so it's all been about taking food out. And remember the Biden, what's his name, inauguration, he had Lady Gaga next to him and she was wearing the Hunger Games uniform. Remember the Hunger Games, 4 different series, was based on the FEMA 10 different districts with their maglev trains and their games. And they have their weather control systems in those games. They can do it, they have it, they own it. But what we can do, we need to do, and we need to get somewhat quite anonymous, and we need to go into our tribes and find our roots and find what we want. And when we start saying what we want, then we can start affecting change. And I wholly invite anyone and everyone to Google, look up, go to my sites on biomagnetism, self-healing using energy, female energy, biomagnetism. So magnetism needs to come back, the feminine, divine, magnificent, magic, magnets, magical, not the parent, but the ma. And we need to bring the women back and get their makeup off. Don't stop making up and stop dyeing your hair. You're killing yourself. What's in the hair dyes, ladies? Oh, we can't talk about it. We're making us up because, well, we feel better. You don't like yourself how you are? Well, So they got a thumb down, and it's time to lift that off. It's time to rise. It's time for men to support them, protect them, and let the women do their thing with their big picture ideas and their big emotional feelings and their big day-to-day awareness, intuitiveness, and the males that can protect and take care of and feed and support and be strong for and do the heavy lifting and take the bullet if necessary. Those aren't bad roles to play. Not bad roles at all. So let's get back to our tribes, folks. Tag, you're it. Thanks for listening. peace on earth, goodwill towards ladies. And Mother Magdalena, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. We don't need a woman. She's a whore. And Magdalena and Mother Gaia, who without Mother Gaia we don't last a moment. We have Father Sky and Mother Gaia. So reverence for earth becomes imperative now, and also the root word of earth is art, and you take the H and you put it in the front, and it's heart. So let's get grounded once again. Tag, you're it.